If you've ever wondered why so many people love living along the northern coast of Ohio, all the way from Cleveland to Catawba Island and Port Clinton, this video is for you. In this video, I'm going to cover everything from the culture, housing, affordability, job market, and more so that you might be able to decide, is the northern coast of Ohio a good fit for you? I'm Adam. Welcome to my channel. I'm a local licensed realtor here with the night team at Keller Williams Citywide. And on this channel, I cover everything from northern Ohio living, including some areas of Cleveland, but mainly over to Catawba Island, Vacationland area, and Sandusky, all of those awesome cities. On this channel, I just cover what it's like to live there and answer all of your questions that you may have concerning the lifestyle, housing, affordability, and more. So my goal today, I'm going to keep it simple. I'm going to get into a lot of the nitty gritty facts and details about living in the northern coast of Ohio. We're going to cover a lot of details, a lot of different areas along the northern coast. It's a pretty large area that I'm going to cover from Cleveland, really Cleveland and west here. So Cleveland all the way over to Port Clinton. And I'm not going to go into super specific details just because there's a lot we can get into with all of that. But the idea of this video is to give you a broad scope of what it's like in these different counties and areas. That way you can start to narrow down your search. All right, we're going to start with one of the most important parts of deciding where you're going to live, and that is affordability. That's a huge part of this. What is the general cost of living? Well, I have good news for you. If you're looking in this general area of the northern coast of Ohio, it's generally way more affordable than a lot of other parts of the US. So I'm gonna go into some specific stats to back that up for you. But that's one reason I live here, to be honest. I used to live in Naples, Florida, which is absolutely stunning. It's still one of my favorite places. My wife's from there. It's awesome. It's really expensive though. And I grew up here in Ohio. I moved there for college and then I came back here because it's a great place to start a family. It's a great place to start a business and really build things like that. And then my parents still live here. A lot of people don't move out of Ohio. Obviously, you do have people that move back to Florida to retire and things like that, but there are people who love it here and just stay here too. And there's nothing wrong with that. But let's get into it. What is the actual cost of living like on the northern coast of Ohio? So things like groceries, healthcare, utilities, when you look this up, they are actually lower by about 1% than the national average. It's nothing huge, but it is a little bit lower to live here. One thing that's fascinating to me are property taxes. So property taxes are going to depend on the county that you're in. And so let's go through what those actually are here. Property taxes for Cuyahoga County. So Cuyahoga County, that's going to include, you're going to hear me reference that a lot in this video. That will be cities from Cleveland to essentially Bay Village and Westlake. So that whole section there, right there, property taxes are around 2.18%. Then we move next to, so we're going west to east here. East to west here. So starting in Cleveland and then going all the way over to Port Clinton. Cuyahoga County here, and then let's move to Lorain County next. Lorain County is going to start with Avon Lake and go all the way through Vermilion. You're going to find a range of 1.5 to 1.8% property taxes there. Next, we're going to move to Erie County, which is going to be Sandusky, Huron, those cities there. That's going to be 1.35% to 1.63%. And then we move on to Ottawa County, which is really Port Clinton area, Marblehead, the Catawba Island. That's around 1.28%. So it's really fascinating when you look at the map and you kind of look from Cuyahoga County, then moving all the way over west to Port Clinton and that whole area. It starts to lower. So the closer you are to the major cities of Cleveland, the more you're going to pay in property taxes. That is something to consider. But we're going to get into it later in this video. I'm going to get into the house pricing as well. So average median home prices. And you're going to see that while property taxes might be higher in Cleveland, housing's a little bit lower in some areas. So there's some caveats there to really think about. Very fascinating stuff. But let's talk about the average cost of living. So in Cuyahoga County, Cleveland area, you're going to find that it is a range of 9 to 17% lower average cost of living to live in Cleveland than it is the rest of the US. 9 to 17%. It's quite a bit. And then Sandusky area, so now this one is moving more into the Erie County. That is going to be about 10% lower than the actual US average. And then Port Clinton, fascinatingly, is about 15% lower average cost of living than the US average there. So very fascinating. One thing I want to mention, this is just a side note here, not necessarily about cost of living, but just something that I find really annoying. I'm just gonna be honest with you. Lorain County and Cuyahoga County both have something that's silly called an e-check. I think it's silly. I know there's reasons behind it, but every time I have to get my car registration done, every 2 years, I have to go and do the e-check for your car. You have to pass the emissions check, obviously, check engine light can't be on, and things like that. So that's kind of annoying. When you get out into Erie and Ottawa County, those I don't believe have that. So that is something that's actually a little bit frustrating about living in Lorain and Cuyahoga County. All right, let's move into culture and lifestyle. So Lake Erie living, that's what this all comes down to. All these cities that I'm referencing today along the Lake Erie coast, northern Ohio here, and they're gonna have a lot of common denominators we look at from Cleveland all the way over to Port Clinton. However, there's a lot of differences too. So number one, obviously all of these places are gonna have boating. You're going to have boating, you're going to have the marinas and that lifestyle that affords you and what you can have there. There's marinas all over the coast, boat access all over the coast, beaches all over the place. So anywhere you live along the coast, you're going to have those same similarities. But there are cultural differences when it comes to living closer to Cleveland and then closer to Port Clinton. And so we're going to dive into some of that now. Cleveland is known for the arts. Obviously, you have the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in Cleveland. You have Playhouse Square. That's a world-renowned theater. It's absolutely amazing going to Playhouse Square and seeing all the different theaters of the plays and shows that are offered there. Then you obviously have Major League Sports. You have the Guardians, the Cavaliers, the Cleveland Browns. We all love the Cleveland Browns here. That's the number one here. And I just got to go to the game on Sunday, and it was absolutely incredible. We did win. We beat the Green Bay Packers, so that was pretty cool. Might be the only win of our season. We'll see what happens, but it was still fun to go. Then you do have Jack Casino, which is downtown as well. And then the restaurant scene in Cleveland is phenomenal. I mean, there's so many diverse, different restaurants you can find in Cleveland. Just like any of the other big metro cities, you're going to see a lot of diverse restaurants and different culture pieces there. And then as you start moving west, you're going to see that change a little bit and quiet down. Obviously, Cleveland's going to be hustle, bustle, a lot of traffic, a lot of things happening constantly. I mean, there were 30,000 people downtown for the Browns game or so. I have no idea how many actually, but it was a sea of people and all the restaurants are packed. It's a lot of fun, very busy, very fast. And then as you move west out towards Port Clinton, you're going to see that slow down and pretty drastically by the time you get to Port Clinton. So let's move through that then. So let's go to Vermilion. Vermilion is probably the next city that I would talk about in Vacationland. I talk about a lot on this channel as well. It's a smaller city. It's going to be more of your small town vibes. You get the small city energy, small town charm, and a lot of Vacationland vibes there. Boat marinas. They have a lot of small festivals there. Much lower population. And we're going to talk about later in this video the job market and how this is also reflected there too. So there's other things to consider. There's pros and cons, and you'll see on my channel I do a lot of pros and cons videos about that, but that's not what this is here. So Vermilion, when it comes to the culture and lifestyle, there still is a lot of culture there, but it's very family friendly, very small town charm. A beautiful little downtown strip area with a lot of mom and pop shops there. And then there's a beach in Vermilion that's pretty cool as well. So there's some restaurants there, but you're not going to have as many chain restaurants in Vermilion. It's much smaller. And then you move even further west, you're going to move towards Huron. So Huron is very similar to Vermilion, actually. Those two cities look similar, feel similar. They're just very similar in general. The school systems and everything like that too. Huron, I would argue, has less restaurants, a little bit less entertainment than Vermilion, but Huron has a great marina, boat basin, access to a big pier there for fishing. Huron's a great place as well, but it's very quiet, again, small town charm. And then we move further west to Sandusky, and that's where things get a little different. So you have Cleveland, Avon Lake, Lorain, and then it moves into Vermilion. Vermilion's where things really quiet down, Huron, and then Sandusky, it picks up. Sandusky is obviously world renowned for Cedar Point. You're going to have a lot of tourism in Sandusky, Kalahari resorts, and a lot of different entertainment and tourism that just flocks to Sandusky during the summertime. Right now, we're in the middle of Halloween weekends. It is absolutely packed in Sandusky on the weekends. for people coming all over the world to visit those awesome theme parks. So Sandusky, things really turn up. It still has that small town charm that we love, but it's much busier than Huron and Vermilion. So something to consider there. There are a lot more chain restaurants in Sandusky. You still have mom and pop stores and restaurants there. We also have the Sandusky Mall. So you're going to see a lot of the common retail stores in Sandusky versus Vermilion and Huron and the surrounding areas there. And then let's move even further west out towards Port Clinton. So Port Clinton, again, it's a little bit larger than your Vermilion area, but smaller than Sandusky. That's going to also really, for the sake of this video, include Catawba Island and Marblehead. They're all very, very close together there in one kind of bundle. They are very different, though, when you actually get into living in Catawba Island versus living on Port Clinton and Marblehead. I could do many and will do many videos about that as well. Catawba Island is very exclusive. It's got a totally different feel than Port Clinton does, but for the sake of this video, we'll bundle it together because they're 5 minutes from each other. So you're gonna find a lot of mom and pop shops out in Port Clinton, a lot of great restaurants like that, a beautiful downtown area. So yeah, Port Clinton's a great place to live as well when it comes to the culture and lifestyle, but it really, Port Clinton area, Vermilion, all these places really depend on Lake Erie lifestyle. Boating is huge. Boating is everything. When you get into Cleveland, boating is still important, but it's not as important. Cleveland really depends on the art scene, sports, restaurants, where when you get out to Port Clinton, Vermilion, those areas, it's going to be really the lifestyle of the lake you're going to see there. Okay, next part here, home styles. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this because just to sum it up, there's really not a lot of common denominators here. There are so many different home styles. When you look at living in Cleveland along the coast all the way through Port Clinton, really you're going to see, like in the Cleveland suburbs, you're going to see historic colonials, brick Tudors, you're going to see bungalows, ranches, new builds, new construction, multi-story homes. I mean, really, when you look at it all, here in Northern Ohio, it's not cookie cutter whatsoever. You're going to find a lot of anything you're looking for, really. You have the Northwest style homes here, obviously Midwest style homes, but really it's super diverse, and it depends on how old the area is that you're looking in. So some of those large old brick Tudors are really beautiful in some of these areas, but then you have modern new builds and new construction. So I'm not going to go specifically through it all because it's just too hard to do that in a video this large, but just know there's a lot of options for you when you're looking in this area. Now let's talk about home prices. And this is where really everybody gets excited about living in Ohio. Again, this goes back to the earlier part of this video where affordability in the northern coast of Ohio is huge. It's much lower than the national average. And so what I'm going to do in this video is kind of break down county by county. Again, it's hard to do this and really paint the right picture for you because when you look at Cuyahoga County, for example, there are a lot of big cities within Cuyahoga County that are going to vary drastically. That's how it's going to be in every one of these counties, but I'm going to give you the median home price per county here along the map, and then you can kind of see what I'm talking about here. So let's start with Cuyahoga County. Again, this is a little more east. This is going to be towards Cleveland. It's going to include actual Cleveland, then Lakewood, Westlake, Bay Village, and all of those surrounding cities. One thing I want to note, the further you get from actual downtown Cleveland, the higher the prices typically go. That's so typical of many major metro cities around the US, but that's no different here in Cleveland. So when you get to Bay Village, Westlake, and those areas, the home prices are going to be higher than what I'm about to tell you here. But this is for the Cuyahoga County. The average median home price is $232,398. So $232,000, $398 there. That is the average sales price, median home price in Cuyahoga County. Lorain County is going to go up a little bit here, which is a little bit surprising, but it's going to go up just because, again, Cleveland, inner city Cleveland, your average home price in parts of Cleveland might be $130,000. So because Cuyahoga County is so large, the median home price doesn't showcase really what it's like to live in Westlake, Avon Lake, where the home prices are well into the 300,000s and higher. So Lorain County, the average sales price, median home price in Lorain County is $294,000. That's going to include areas of Avon Lake, Sheffield Lake, Lorain, and through Vermilion. Again here, Avon Lake will be much higher than when you get to Vermilion and Lorain especially. So you're going to see it does vary on where you're talking about. Erie County again includes Sandusky and Huron. You're looking at around $250,000 as a median home sales price. Ottawa County, which is Port Clinton and Catawba Island, you're looking around $270,000 of a median home sales price. Remember earlier in the video, I talked about property taxes. What's fascinating to me, when you get into Cleveland itself, you're going to see much lower home prices. So when it comes to downtown Cleveland, that whole area there, you're talking $130,000 or so for your average home price, but your property taxes were above 2%. And then when you get outside of that and go to Lorain County and then you move further west, property taxes go down, but in some of those areas, home prices go up. So it is something you have to weigh out there. One last disclaimer, obviously the closer you are to the lakefront, the more money it's going to cost to live there. Everybody wants to live on the lake, so if you're a mile or two inland, it is going to be more cost effective. All right, let's talk about job market. Ohio is pretty diverse for a job market, although the number one driving force in the Ohio job market by far is healthcare. We have some of the best healthcare around. I mean, Cleveland Clinic is world renowned for a lot of its healthcare options that it has. So let's go through county by county, and I'm gonna name off the actual job market and what it's like per county, and some of the big employers that you can actually see there too. Cleveland, which is Cuyahoga County, you're going to see also, I'll just say this, this is a pattern you'll see. Obviously, the larger metro cities are going to have more jobs available. There's more industry, more options for you as you move further west towards Port Clinton. That's going to go down pretty significantly. However, I'm still going to show you what those areas offer. So Cleveland, which is Cuyahoga County, you have the healthcare giants. You have Cleveland Clinic, university hospitals are there. You have manufacturing jobs, tech startups. The companies might include things such as obviously Cleveland Clinic, university hospitals. There's a place called Eaton Corporation. Progressive Insurance is located in Cuyahoga County. Key Bank. Sherwin-Williams is headquartered in Cleveland as well. It's a paint manufacturer. And then Amazon, while Amazon is not headquartered in Cleveland or Cuyahoga County, it has a huge presence in that area as well for jobs. So that just kind of showcases some of the jobs there, and there's a lot more. Lorain County, this is getting into Vermilion, Lorain, Avon Lake. Advanced manufacturing and logistics. Some of the companies here include Ford. There's an actual Ford plant in Avon Lake. Mercy Health is another health system, healthcare here that's located. University Hospitals also has a hospital in Lorain County. And then we have Republic Steel and US Steel, the steel mill right here in Lorain County, and Rigid Tools, another big one. Let's move over to Erie County, which is Sandusky, Huron area. This is going to be a little bit different. This is really well known for tourism. So healthcare, again, is very big here, but then you have the school systems and then hospitality. That's really what it comes down to for Erie County. So some of the companies there are going to include Firelands Health. It's really interesting. You have Cleveland Clinic, you have university hospitals, Firelands, Mercy. There are some really big healthcare giants in this whole northern coast of Ohio. So then you have Cedar Fair, Six Flags in Erie County, Kalahari Resorts. There's a company called Ventra Sandusky, which is an entertainment and hospitality company that are well known here. And then the school systems. Sandusky has a very strong school system with Perkins Township and more there. So Ottawa County, which is Port Clinton, is really well known for seasonal tourism and some trades. So there's a lot of small manufacturing plants in the Port Clinton area, schools, stores you can work at as well. But again, one thing I want to point out is if you look at the map, you're going to see the job market will decrease with availability and options as you move further west towards Port Clinton. Obviously, it's a much smaller area. So Cleveland's got a lot to offer. Port Clinton is a little bit less. One final part I want to add to the job market here. I know a lot of people who choose to live here because they work remotely. The Vacationland area of Ohio, this northern coast, is beautiful and cost effective. So since it's cost effective and you get the lifestyle that a lot of people love with all the seasons, the boating and everything, if you work remotely, this is a great option for you. So you don't have to spend an arm and a leg on housing and lifestyle, but you still get the things you want. And finally, on a personal note, I've lived here most of my life. And I moved to Naples, Florida after high school for a while, and I chose to move back for multiple reasons. But the thing that I love most about this area is I have options. There's options all around me. I can go and head east to Cleveland if I want and go to a Browns game. I can go to an awesome restaurant, go see a play, and it's less than an hour drive for me to do that. Or I can go a couple minutes down the road and go to Sandusky, go to Cedar Point, and go to one of the best theme parks in the entire world. Or I can go a little bit further of a drive out to Port Clinton, Catawba Island, go to the wineries out there, and just go see all the scenic, quiet areas that Port Clinton has to offer. I could go to the islands in Put in Bay and Kelly's Island, Bass Island, all those places that are out there. That's what I love about living here. On the northern coast, if you live in one of these cities, you're close by to a lot of different experiences, which I find is important. I like variety in life. There's a lot of spice in that. I love that. And when people think of Ohio, they might not think of that, but until you get to experience northern coast of Ohio, you don't really know what you're missing out on. So who does this actually fit? I believe the northern coast of Ohio here fits families looking for affordability and lifestyle. Again, that's where I grew up. You can have everything that I've mentioned with the lifestyle, but be able to afford it, build your business, grow your career, whatever you need to do. This gives you that opportunity. And then a lot of professionals tied to healthcare, manufacturing. This is a big relocation area for people doctors moving in, healthcare professionals, and more. And then retirees. I know so many people who stay here when they retire because of the lifestyle and affordability that this has to offer. I've talked about this before. The winters are not that bad. So if you are thinking about moving to the northern coast of Ohio, I would love to help you. Whether that's 9 days from now, 9 months from now, whenever that is, please feel free to call me, text me. My contact information is all in the description below. I help people just like you all the time move to this area or sell their house in this area. So if that's you, please feel free to even book a Zoom call with me today. I'm more than happy to help you out, answer any questions you may have. If you liked this video, please actually hit the like button below, subscribe to my channel so you can stay notified of future videos that I actually put out here. I'm going to go into way more detail on all these areas I covered today. We'll see you in the next one.